Hey everyone, it's Vi. I'm checking out Space Guy. I've not played this game before, don't know anything about it. Got the game page open here, as you can see. Looks like this game runs in the browser only. I like to have a downloadable version, but that's not so big a deal. We'll just try out what we've got here. There's not much written, as you can see here. It just says A and D or left and right arrows to move. Protect your clients until you reach your destination. So I've not seen anything past what you're seeing here with me. But we're going to give this a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. Now, it doesn't mention anything about gamepad support. I'm kind of... Well, let's find out. I don't know if this is like a shmup or something. Made with Unity. Get some music. I click on start. Alright. Is there a pause? Doesn't look like there's a pause. I tried escape, tried the P key. Oh. It does support gamepad to some capacity, at least for left and right. Oh, okay. So, excuse me. So I was interested to know whether or not it supported the gamepad. I thought there might be other buttons or whatever, but again, it literally just mentions left and right. So I think that's perhaps all you do in the game. That said, let's start with the keyboard controls real quick here. I did notice there's a little bit of inertia on the movement. Now this might not be a straight up shmup. There's no actual shooting, I guess, from the player, but just in general, shmup games are almost invariably better if you don't have any inertia on the movement. It just makes the movement a lot more responsive and precise. So it might be something to consider. It's not like... Well, with the keyboard, it's actually kind of bad. Because it takes a while for you to hit the top speed, and then when you try and change direction, you go right down to 0 speed again, and it makes it feel really sluggish. Again, I can't pause it, so I want... Like, if I want to stop and talk or something, I'm not playing the game anymore. If I switch to the gamepad, slightly different, so that it supports analog, so I can go very slow or I can go fast. But because of that, it doesn't have the same inertia. So with the keyboard, you have the inertia, which makes it very unresponsive. Whereas with the gamepad, you can actually pretty much near instantly hit max speed just by moving the stick all the way to the left or the right. So as a result, the gamepad controls are a lot more responsive feeling. I would definitely not consider these to be equal in terms of I guess how well probably you can play. I would definitely assume that the gamepad is going to make me do a lot better. I guess I'm just supposed to bump into everything I can here. Again, I haven't really been playing up until now, just kind of talking about things. So, looks like one of my ships is almost dead and the other one is, well, now it's almost dead. So, alright, so I'm not sure. It's hard to tell like how much of the stuff falling down is for sure able to be deflected, as in, like, what I'm wondering is if there's any situations where you like don't have the opportunity to actually bounce one of these things back. Like, it might just be like an impossible scenario where just something's gonna get through no matter what you do. Kind of feels like that occasionally. Again, I haven't really been trying much up until now. I'll try now a little more. But it definitely gave me that impression that maybe sometimes there were some things that it seemed like you really had the opportunity to prevent damage there, and that's kind of one of those things. It's kind of a cardinal sin of action games, is when you can't, the game gives you an impossible task, even if it's just taking one damage. That's never anything you really want to kind of let slip through the cracks in designing your games and your levels. Obviously that one damage can add up over time and you can end up with you know, your player will effectively play perfectly and still end up losing, and that's not a great thing. Alright, so I guess I win. I'm assuming that, okay, it looks like we can have like a maximum score, I think. Because it seems like there's only the one level so far in the demo. So presumably if I play perfectly, I don't know, what even gives you score, I don't know. I can see there's a number at the top right counting down, which I think is like the time left in the level. I guess there's some things I can let go by if if they don't actually hit. The ships, they actually have what appears to be some unusual collision on the ships behind me. Sometimes things seem to kind of go through them, which, I mean, I would rather they be forgiving than anything, than, you know, have hitboxes that were too big, for sure, but it's a little weird. Maybe the feedback could be a little better when they actually take damage, so that you can actually, like, definitely tell, like, oh, something just hit one of those. So this time we get a higher score. I mean, I wasn't necessarily trying harder or anything. I just, I think it was just up to chance. I still don't know what exactly affects the score. I don't know if there's any kind of combo potential. I noticed that some of those like explosive things were kind of blowing up in other things. Now there was some weird action on one of those lasers a moment ago. I don't know if you noticed that. It seemed to kind of, whoa, it seemed to kind of do a weird wiggly thing when it got behind me here. I guess, okay, so I think perhaps what might have happened is that the laser got kind of stuck inside of the player collider for a moment, so it kind of bounced multiple times off the player. So it does seem like the direction that things bounce is dependent on where they hit the player collider. So sometimes things kind of go sideways and it's a little wacky. I almost wonder if it might be more, might make the gameplay a little more uniform and well controlled if you just kind of flip the vertical speed when it hit the player hitbox, instead of just bouncing it in different directions like that. I mean, I can understand sort of if you think about like the breakout games, the Arkanoid games where you have a little paddle and you can kind of direct where the things you bounce up go. But in those games, you know, you have a purpose to directing it. I don't know if the developer had considered maybe adding that kind of functionality to this game. I guess, you know, with some of those explosives, I guess they kind of interacted with other enemies and stuff. I don't know about the lasers or whatever. I don't know if anything else really was doing anything if you bounced it back at people, but either way, I think maybe, like, if you do want the player to be able to direct the things they're bouncing back in different directions based on like where they hit the player, maybe have some kind of a restriction so it doesn't get into those cases where sometimes it would go like straight sideways or even like downwards at an angle when it bounced off the player. Like if you set like a range of angles that would be like, you know, it'd still be in the upwards trajectory, you know, some kind of wide arc like this, that kind of thing. And then maybe like within that range of angles you could bounce it in any of those directions, but it would still always be going back upwards. I think that would feel a little more like it's a little more in control and you know, kind of predictable. It might be worthwhile. There's a menu button. Okay, it's just start quit. So yeah, that's Space Guy. I don't know if there's anything else I'm gonna get out of this. Again, I wouldn't recommend trying to play this with the keyboard because it's too sluggish. Yeah, a lot of these shots and stuff are kind of going straight sideways. It just kind of feels a little annoying in my opinion. And there was one there that kind of You can see it kind of bounced on the player hitbox, but for whatever reason it still ended up going downwards. Just did like a little zigzag and then it went straight down. That was kind of weird. It's kind of funny when there's like an enemy coming and this meteor just plows into it from behind. Oh, okay, these laser things do bounce back and hit enemies and stuff. So I hadn't really paid attention to that before, because I was just kind of focusing on, you know, moving left and right at the bottom of the screen, not really watching so much what was happening up there, I guess. Alright. So that's Space Guy. I don't think we're gonna get much more out of this for feedback or anything, but hopefully that was useful for you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.